Welcome back. It is another episode of the 19th hole reviewing Full Swing. We're going to jump right into this one because this one's exciting. We're going to be talking about Full Swings, Don't Get Bitter, Get Better. This is a great episode where we get to see some fan favorites in this particular episode. But as always, we have to bring in the crew that is establishing our pace through this whole thing and keeping us on what we've learned in each episode so far. We have different reviews and different favorites. First off, Barbara, welcome back to a new week of Full Swing reviews. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to get into this episode. Should be fun.
I'm crazy. So we started this, as everyone doesn't know, if you haven't seen all the episodes, you're seeing this one for the first time. I called the next guest here, Greg, up on Instagram and said, hey, I love what you're doing with your short videos talking about Full Swing. And it really got me engaged with him on his page of going, I want to know more. He has more to say. So welcome to the stage here, Greg from the Pinehurst Six. How you doing this week, Greg?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Can't wait to talk about Tony Finau, the PGA Drip King, until proven otherwise. And that's why I'm wearing, his Friday fit for the U.S. Open right now.
Nice. I'm loving it. He's got the view. He's got it, everything on. I'm bummed out that I'm not just straight poloing it up this week. But without fail, a man in green who's going to be coming to the scene, the professor himself, Kendall. Welcome back. Another week. He's bringing his A game here for this one here. I'm excited. This is a little preview of I think we're filming this in St. Patty's week, so you're seeing a little green from the team here. So show us your shirt because I know you're excited to show us the shirt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I did not hit you. Oh, I high-fived your face.
Is that what happened at the Oscars last year?
Oh, we want to relive that. Yeah. That's what it looked like to me.
When you bring
Does everyone have their nice beverage?
Yeah.
I do. I'm ready. This one we're going to be pulling the shot down for this one. We will be pulling in the mini for it. So
very cool. So let's get started, gentlemen.
Let's do it. Let's jump in.
So tonight's episode was about Tony Finau and Collin Morikawa. I got to tell you, I'm a Tony Finau fan. I didn't know Tony Finau, I have to be honest, before this episode. And not that I have anything against Collin, but Tony, oh my God. If anybody watched this episode and didn't leave loving not only him, his commitment to his family, and his commitment to the game of golf, then you really shouldn't be watching this series at all. So let's get into it. Tony Finau, he saw Tiger win the 97 Masters, and it inspired him to start playing golf. Let's talk about him and his kind of Cinderella story, and then we'll get into Collin. How's that sound?
I love that. I love the enthusiasm so much that I am going to let Greg, since he is suited for that moment of Tiger winning the 97 Masters, and he's full bore Tony Finau ultimate fan. Greg, take it away.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I love Tony Finau. He's been a favorite of mine for a couple of years now. Like I said, everything he wears on the course, I'm like, I want that. I got to go get that right now. And so I do, apparently, because I'm wearing it. And yeah, I love how this episode highlighted his family. His wife is awesome. She's hilarious to follow on Instagram. His kids are hilarious. His son Drace chirping him for missing that putt, like, bro, I'd make that 9 times out of 10. I thought that was hilarious. Yeah, I'm a huge Tony Finau fan. I think Collin kind of came off like a dick in this episode. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I wasn't a huge Collin fan after this.
Yeah.
Well, expand on that. What gave you that perspective?
So he was meeting with Adidas, and they were like, "Okay, we're gonna pair this shirt with the olive pants." And he had a line where he said, "I don't think that's my fashion. I think it's your fashion." And just a little smirk on his face when he said, "I think it's your fashion." It was like, I know they told you to be honest, but I feel like you could have kept that one in your back pocket. Like, I don't know. I didn't really like that line. Him talking about, I'm selfish, but actually being selfish is a good thing. It can be when you're a professional athlete, of course, but I think there's a line to that, and I think Colin might cross it.
So, if you don't mind, I'm going to counter that question because I agree. It was delivered in a kind of a prick fashion, but would you wear something that didn't bring you confidence?
No, but I would just leave it at I don't think it's my fashion.
So I think that was really unique because like Tiger, the same thing. Like his stuff is always laid out. It's already sent to him. He gets sketches. Here it is, right? And he stays. If you watch his entire career, he's inside of 3 colors, right? Like that's it. It's not until recent that you might have seen him in another color, on Thursday or Friday. But it's always black and white. Then he goes into a Sunday red. Like it's very, very structured, of what he wears. But he's also at a level where I think that's like, hey, they're not going to question his variable. When you have these new young golfers that are getting their sponsors and stuff, I think he came off very, very prickish in there. But I also loved, like, it was a cool behind the scenes look of that particular meeting. Like I was kind of more like, wow, this is really interesting. One, also the number of people in there on bended ear that choose a color or what the hell I'm wearing. Then you've got Poulter that's picking his own closet, and everything he wears, and he's doing his own wear, regardless. So yes, I agree with I'm not a fan afterwards. I feel like this is one of those. It's like I'm trying to think of a name, but they've already faded. Like they come in for a hot minute, and then all of a sudden they're gone. I feel like he's might be one of those guys.
Yeah, I think that I completely agree with you, Greg. There was a way he could have delivered that wasn't the way he did it, and so he did come off kind of. I love that word, prickish. I love it, and he did come off that way, and because of that. I could have used the episode without him and it'd be completely Tony Finau and his story. But, the contrast, I think, made it even a better episode because you love Finau even more with the contrast of Colin and him saying that, it's good to be selfish and, and that he's selfish and it's better to be that way. Where on some level, the way they played it out was he was specifically talking about Finau not being selfish and bringing his wife and 5 kids on tour with him.
That was probably the one thing that was like, I'd love to see more of how they're logistically doing that, right? Because I don't know, and maybe one of you guys know, and Greg, maybe how many wins does Finau have to his name?
So he won the
4.
There's a tournament. Yeah. So I think it was like the Puerto Rico Open a couple years ago. And that tournament was known for being a curse because no one had once you win the Puerto Rico Open, you don't win again. Like that was like the end of a lot of people's career. And so Tony won that, and then he choked away Sunday leads like 3 or 4 times, and everyone's like, yep, the curse, it's alive and well. And then he finally won twice back to back last year again. So yeah, I think he's got 4 wins on his resume.
So, and I mean, granted, now wins on the PGA Tour are within the millions, but we think we've also learned with a few of the other episodes, you don't take that full check, right? Like you got to pay back a lot of other things, to get you there. But, at what point do you go and his son get razzing him on like, hey, I'd have made that putt or whatever, that becomes like, he's got a major bill taking, 5-6 people on a road. Like that, it became more of a like, damn, I want to see this guy win. Like if he's gonna bring the whole family to every single trip, this guy's gotta win. You know, that's such a daunting task, I feel, to also even to stay focused.
I
Right?
think
You know, like
that's part of what makes his story so good, though, is like you can see what he drives, and you can see, yeah, he lives in a nice house, but it's pretty modest. He's in Utah, right? Whereas Brooks Koepka's house was like on the water, and it was like a $5 million house, right? Maybe more, who knows? But you know, he drives a van that carries his entire family. Like, I think his perspective, like he even said, like I made enough to provide for my family already. So I think his perspective on life, and that's what makes you love him so much, is a little bit different than everyone else we've seen so far.
Yeah, the word distraction kept coming up a lot, right? Was he distracted? Is he distracted playing the game? Did you guys think he was distracted by having his family there?
I agree, 110%. And I say that just from I know people were watching the week my wife was away and stuff, you know, and it became funny, you know, even amongst friends, you know, talking about it, is they're like, man, look, you got so much other stuff done and like the distraction, but when you guys were away, she crushed it. She was working and she was getting 101 different things. I got 101 different things because you had that divide. Had it be, you know, she with me on every single part of that. And you're carrying the family aspect of it. And let's say she wasn't like helping from a golf perspective. I think it would be a distraction if you're trying to stay in that zone to say, I need to go out and win this tournament. So I agree. I think it's a major feat for him to not only, like I say, just one thing, just to bring your significant other, but the entire family with it. I mean, you're getting done golfing. You still got to get your workouts in. Then you got to go feed the kids. You got to like. There's just so much more compacted on that.
Yeah.
So here's where I will disagree with you on that. I don't think it was that much of a distraction. In fact, I think it probably was a nice break for him to zone out and just be with the family at night. Like you heard Scotty Scheffler talking about, yeah, I can't stay laser focused for the entirety of a 5-hour round. I've got to talk to my caddy, you know, like think about other things. And then once we get to the shot, then I'll zone back in. So these guys really aren't staying laser focused even for the 5 hours that they're on the course, let alone getting off the course. I know Jordan Spieth has talked about how every year for the Masters, he brings in guys that he played high school golf with, guys they played college golf with, and they're not allowed to talk golf in the Airbnb. You know, that's his rule is we're just here to hang out for the week. We're going to play some cards. We're going to have some fun, play some pool. We're not talking golf at all while I'm in here because he wants to tune it out. And I'm sure that's really easy when Tony's playing ping pong against his son every night. You know, like it'd be a nice little distraction away from, oh crap, now I've got to go make a putt for $1 million. I think it would be nice to not think about that every night and have distractions. But maybe that's just me.
I want to go back to that.
I agree with Greg.
I think, Barbara, we need to figure out who this group is, because if you flew me down to watch Greg play in the Masters and we're at the Masters and we're like this and Greg comes in and says we can't talk anything about the Masters, I want that interview. I want that interview. I want to see it. I want to see that group.
You're like going. You're like, what? Yeah. I completely agree with that because I would want to talk about it, but I also agree with Greg in that having the family there is actually a great thing. It's like your support system is there. You leave the golf course, you go there, you have your support system. You're a human, a father, a husband. And he said that quote, you can be a great golfer and a great husband. Didn't he say something like that? And so I disagree that it's a distraction. I actually think that it's an enhancement for him to like have his support system with him. And especially this year, because he did it because his wife's dad died. And that was so important to be there for her in such a big way, no matter what happened. I mean, that speaks volumes to who he is as a man, his character.
And I think especially for him, because that is the way he ticks, and how supportive she is and has been before he even made it. Like, it's the side of two coins. Now, like in Brooks' scenario, I think his wife hinders him and makes him worse. But in Tony's scenario, I think it's an enhancement, like you're saying. Like, I think he's better for having, you know, that normalcy. Like they talk about other sports when, like, you know, athletes travel and their family stays, you know, in their home city. And they always talk about getting back home and getting to a routine. And that's why teams play better at home, because they have a routine. So I think for him, he falls into that mold, whereas, you know, others probably don't.
Yeah. And so, speaking of Finau, and we're talking about his character and his home life and all of that, let's talk about Finau's origins. Like, and this, I'm going to address it to you, Kendall, first, because you were talking about JT in our first pilot episode about JT going to CVS and him being privileged, and his father was a golfer and his grandfather was a golfer. Like, and Tony had a very different upbringing, as we saw. So tell me a little bit about how you feel about Tony and how he scraped and put it all together, and his father really believing in him and setting up a mattress for him to practice.
Yeah, I mean, that's the type of golfer I want to root for. That's why I like him so much. Like, they probably got him one club. I mean, he probably didn't have a bag to start. I have no idea. And yeah, look at all the dents that were in the garage door. Like, they were talking about it. They would go to the range once a week and share a bucket so they can make sure the ball is straight. I mean, it's endless. Like, and I don't know that his father believed him right away. It was like, they want to do this, we can't afford it, I got to find a way to let them. And they did what they could. Once they started entering events and he saw that they could do stuff, then I think he probably went the extra mile to get them whatever training they needed, however he could. But yeah, that's just the best story ever. I mean, like you said, I mentioned Justin Thomas. Like, he was able to swing whatever club probably he wanted to do. And the best equipment, the best clubs, the best gloves, the best shoes.
Kendall, I agree with you 100%. This storyline of that, like that garage setup, them standing outside looking at that, made me kind of look at the recent movie, you know, on the Williams sisters, right? That just, you had a father that was like, nope, we're going to make this go one way or the other. And it was a dream that was family grown. So his father to see that and say, yep, I realized I needed to, you know, back his interests because he was in love with it. I think all of us kind of come up with that story in some way or fashion that you hear it. That's why I think there's so much yet to see with Tony Finau. I think there could be such a opening gate for him in his game. I hope, you know, as a person that just loves, that champion story, that I came from nothing and here I am, I'm at the top, that he doesn't become a stable player, meaning just, I'm cool, I'm making for my family, I don't need to win, right? I hope he finds that ultimate desire to like continue to want to knock down that door in that winner's circle to completely compel the rest of his story. I think it would almost be injustice for him not to finish his story.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but he played cash games before he played any kind of event. Is that not right? He would enter tournaments where like you paid a fee to get in, winner take all. And he was taking those down, traveling through like Arizona and Utah. I heard a story about that. And so to me, if that's true, then I think he will be the player that, yeah, he wants to win, but he's making way more now without the pressure.
I hadn't heard that. That's a crazy story. That'd be awesome. But yeah, I mean, I do think that hitting balls into a mattress, I mean, it just takes it back to, who he is as a person. You could see it in his eyes. He still had fond memories of hitting balls into that mattress, and his dad had just like this gleam in his eyes, like, my plan worked. Like, I found a way to get my kid from hitting balls into a mattress to the PGA Tour. And a lot of guys would like go back and be like, oh yeah, I can't believe I had to do this. It seemed like he wanted to go back there and hit more balls into the mattress. Like that was his oasis as a kid. I don't know. I love Tony Finau. Like Barbara was saying, with just the importance of being there for all his wife's firsts after losing her father, and that being the reason why they were traveling with him. I mean, I don't know. That was the tearjerker of the episode for me. I looked over and my wife was just pouring tears, and I was like, "See, this is why I wanted you to watch this with me." And yeah, I don't know. I think they did a fantastic job of just highlighting him and who he is.
So it's you bring up your wife, and that was the point she brought up to me. She goes, she thinks the reason Colin and Tony were in the same episode is all of them are playing against this debate, who makes the best sacrifices, right? Mm-hmm. And you saw it kind of both ends, of the spectrum here, kind of just like in the previous episode with DJ, and Fitz. You saw it on both ends, So the pairings of who they're bringing to it, whether you like them or not, right? It's giving you two stories that are yin and yang, per each episode, which now that we're in episode 6, I mean, like it's amazing to me how different all of them are, but the common denominator is just how much they want to win. There isn't a single one of them that don't walk away with that moment of going, yeah, I want to win. I hate losing.
And I want to add a little bit to that, talking about his character and whether he wants to win and all of that. The moment where he's walking with Tiger and he tries to strike up a conversation with Tiger, and Tiger like shuts him down, but not from a place of Tiger's an ass, but it's like his focus is so like on this game, this ball, this right now, what's next, and Tony's just like, hey, I'm a good guy, I want to be friendly and do that. And I loved him for that. Did that make him like less focused in the game?
Well, I do think it was the round that he was talking about was Sunday at the 2019 Masters when he played with Tiger, right? Yes, so I'm sure Tiger was even more locked in than he normally is at a tournament, because he was trying to win the Masters. But yeah, I think it goes to show just how, like, I don't know, kind of carefree Tony is, right? He's got his priorities, and he just wanted to talk to Tiger about his kids. And when he gets over to his ball, he'll lock in again. But walking in between, it's like, yeah, maybe Tiger wants to hear about my kids. No, He doesn't right now, dude. Maybe after the round.
Yeah.
That was I loved the through all the episodes, the whole backstory Tiger's played in all of them, right? They talk about that Tiger right? Being here, he's being there. Oh my God, I get to play with Tiger. But that's why I so hope they make an episode with Tiger, because there's such an importance to how he locks in. Where you're saying Scheffler, he can't do it the whole tournament. Tiger can. That's exactly how Tiger plays it. He doesn't want to be bothered by anybody. He wants to. You very rarely see a laugh, even with his caddy, walking through. He has got a laser focus like no other, especially if he's in it. If he's in it, forget about it. Like he's going to make you know that you're playing, one of the world's greatest golfers, ever, and he's not out. And there's no reason, because he said it. He goes, I will stop golfing when I think I can't win. So there's that example of watching two different mentalities of golf, go on it. I want to talk about how's the kids and everything like this. If they're good, everything, like I'm trying to beat you, buddy, walk on. And the fact that he even says, I think Tiger even sped up a little bit, like, get off my heels. So I think that is a phenomenal aspect of any different golfer, multiple different styles, but they all have that just monster desire to be the best.
One other question I have for you guys. Do you think Morikawa has peaked, or do you think his peak is still ahead?
So this goes back to Fitzpatrick. There's so many new names, and maybe it's just because I'm old school. I'm a Tiger fan. I love watching that battle. But like, I don't know. Like, it was kind of one of those. Like, I was learning, a lot about him, and because he came off, and I guess prick is the word we're going to use here. I mean, it's just in a very prickish, standing point. I didn't find myself, that intrigued in his story.
Yeah, I think Collin Morikawa is a golf robot. I mean, I think he's programmed to play golf. He's very calculated in everything he does. So what I found interesting was this is the second time we've seen him, Rory McIlroy, and Jon Rahm sitting together in a clubhouse after rounds. And I didn't really strike those three as being friends. I don't know. I haven't seen them like interacting off the course at all, but it seems like they sit together a lot. And the last time we saw them together, Rory McIlroy like shows a picture of Poppy to John and to Colin, and John's like, "Oh yeah, you'll find out what that's like." And Colin's like, "What's like?" Like having kids. And Colin's like, "Oh." Like, I think that's just completely off the radar for him right now. Like, he's just married, and he's just concerned about getting his dog to tournaments, wearing their little booties in the private jet. And he's not, I don't know, I don't think he's really set on doing anything other than playing golf at the highest level right now. So I don't think that he has peaked. I think that he is going to just keep on going. I think we're going to hear his name for a long time.
Are you going to hear it in the winner's circle? You think you're going to hear it in the winner's circle, or are you just going to hear it?
I think we're hearing it in the winner's circle.
But are you rooting for him
100%.
to be in the winner's circle?
I'm not rooting against him. Okay. Let's put it that way. There's probably other guys that, if he's in contention, I'm probably rooting for other guys more, but I'm not like, damn it, Colin won. I'd be like that for some guys, not him.
Yeah. So again, with the polar opposites, because I would think that Tony Finau and Collin Morikawa are polar opposites, wouldn't you?
Oh, 100. The episode was purely designed to find two opposite ends of the coin, because even the way they edited the full swing, you could go back and take any one of those stories, put them up against someone that's just like them. And if you were to go back and watch, Fitzpatrick and, Morikawa, I think I would have probably just skipped that whole episode, right. Because there was there would have been no battle against, what you're watching.
All the episodes have had contrasts like that, though. Everyone.
Yeah.
It's like they did it. I mean, they obviously did it on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. When you're just as a producer, when you're in the room and you are putting stories together, we do that. We're like, oh, these two will fit together. These two will fit together. And that's how you do it, especially if it's a 2-story episode. And you really want to have either two that go well together or opposites, right? And then because what you want is compelling storytelling. And so that's what we got. And I think so. So final thoughts on this episode. Don't get bitter, get better.
I think the whole hot streak that they finally showed at the 3M Open for Finau was one of those very the title. He got to get better, and when he finally found that hot streak to cross it and put the win, then he went back to back, right? And then he went back to back for like $3 million, something like that. Like he won back to back for like $3 million, and it was like, okay, well now you finally can take your family wherever you want to go. You got better.
Greg?
Yeah. So not only is Tony the best dress player on tour, he's also probably the best husband on tour after this. He's just a family man through and through. Can't say enough good things about his character, and he's a fantastic golf player. So I think this episode did a great job of highlighting that. I do like the contrast between him and Colin, but it just goes to show that there's more than one mindset that can be successful on tour, because Colin's also going to be successful. He's borderline, he is probably more successful than Tony right now because he's won a couple majors. Tony hasn't won any majors yet. So in the grand scheme of the golf history books, Colin's probably more successful right now. Tony might catch up to him, but there's no one way to do things.
Great. And you, Kendall?
Yeah, I agree. This has been this episode for the Finau side of it was my favorite thus far. Finau was more than anticipated and in a good way, and Colin Morikawa was disappointing to me the way he came across, because I was a big fan favorite of his until that episode. So yeah, but Finau did not disappoint, so I'm happy with that.
Were you familiar with Finau really well before this episode, or did this episode really make you a Finau fan?
I was well familiar with him before, but that just gave me more about his backstory. So I had read stuff about him, how he kind of was self-made. Again, like I thought I heard the stories about him entering those cash tournaments to get there. So seeing that side of it and the family side of it, just really, solidified anything I had already thought about him and made, put him up another couple notches, if you will.
I agree with you, Barbara. I did not know him well prior to. I got to know him better, and in this has grown as a little bit more of a fan behind it. I'm going to strongly disagree with Greg here on the fashion, because I feel like he never wears his pants high enough. But that's just me being crazy, attentive to watching it. It's almost like for me, he's a skateboarder trying to play golf. But the story did bring more of a fan front to me in that regard. So you can't do a review here and all of us always agree on everything. So give him a skateboard, and I think he's a longboard rider, right? That's what it looks like.
He is 6'5".
You probably knew him as the guy who popped his ankle out of the
6-foot pants.
What was that, Greg?
Yeah, you probably knew him as the guy who popped his ankle out at the par 3 competition at the Masters, running backwards, celebrating a hole-in-one, and he popped it right back in. I don't know if you've seen that clip, but that introduced Tony Finau to a lot of people when he did that. And then I think he finished tied for 5th for the Masters after that. So recovery.
Yep.
Wow, I haven't seen that, so I'll definitely go and watch that. That sounds amazing. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Again, this was an amazing episode. I love how we can all have different thoughts about the same thing and really review this show. This Duffers Review is all about reviewing. We review golf courses, and now in the 19th hole, we are definitely reviewing Full Swing. So that was episode 6. Tune in to episode 7. Make sure you subscribe and tell us what you think. Do you agree with us or do you disagree with us? We'd love to get into a conversation. Subscribe and join us next time when we do the next episode of Full Swing. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.